Today we are discussing the soul, nature, and technology. And the reason why that I want to discuss this is because I want to really instill this idea of the Abraxian perspective where we realize that we are everything. Because I often see a very, very sharp divide between, say, humanity, nature, and technology. And while there are some subtle differences between these different modes of existence, it's important to know that ultimately we are all of these things. So what I really want to do in this stream is discuss how, as we know, we are everything, but how it relates to nature, how it relates to evolution, and how it relates to technology. Is technology bringing us further from who we are or closer to what we are? How does it tie into evolution? How does it tie into the soul? How does it tie into our actualization? How does it tie into what we are as the universe? And I want to really stress this because I see a lot of confusion, and some people even look at humanity as like a plague and whatnot. And we'll see that humanity can be very, very damaging to nature, indeed. But what I really want to emphasize is to begin to see we need that perspective shift. We need to have that perspective shift where we stop looking at nature and the physical universe as something external and outside of us, but rather part of what we are. And in addition to that, start looking at technology in the way that it should be, because technology is sort of a double-edged sword. It can liberate us, but it can also imprison us. But it's important to realize what technology is, and that we're going to see it's actually an extension of us and an extension of nature. Again, people like to put a real big divide between nature and technology, but we're going to see how they link together and how one is actually an extension of the other. So as we discuss this, we really need to figure out what nature is. And I want to talk about the difference between pantheism and panentheism, because there's a really important distinction to understand here. So what is pantheism? Pantheism says that the physical world, the natural world, nature is God. Okay? And it's also important to realize that we are God. We are the universe. All right? So I know that people are familiar, pretty much, who watch me, are familiar with Hyperianism. But for those who aren't, let me just give you a real quick rundown of a few basic ideas before we jump into this discussion. But basically, your body is just an avatar. Your body is just a physical avatar. It's a vehicle for what you truly are. And what are you truly? You are a mind, a soul, what we call a monad. And we use this symbol to represent the monad. And this is what you are. This is what you truly are. And what this is a system of mathematical frequency information. So you as a monad are a mind, are a soul, a system of monadic information, frequency information. Okay, that's what you are. You are a mental entity. And you connect to an avatar to exist in this physical world. Now, I also want to bring in one more concept before we jump into this discussion of what nature and technology is, and that is the concept of the absolute, or abraxas. Oops, that is the double slit experiment. I don't know why that popped up. Ignore the double slit experiment. We need the absolute. So here is the absolute, or we also call this abraxas. Now, if you notice, you are a monad, and this image sort of symbolically depicts the collection of all monads together. Imagine that these are all the monads in existence together, and you see it's a circle of circles. So this represents all of reality, all of existence, and considering existence as a whole, as all the minds together. So we can consider existence as being sort of one mind made up of a collection of all minds. Okay? So you are a single eternal mind, and together we are one mind that is a one made of many. Okay? Now, we are all reality as us, as the collective. We are all reality. We are all existence. So it's important to keep that in mind. So keep this in mind as we discuss pantheism and panentheism. So, you could call this, you could call this God, but you see, it's nothing outside of us. We are God. We are the collective. We are the absolute. We are the all. We are God. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, so pantheism says that nature, the natural world, is God. And a lot of pagans have this idea of pantheism, that nature is God. And a lot of pagans will worship nature because they see nature as being God. Now, panentheism is that God is nature, but also transcendent to nature. So God is more than nature, but also contains nature as sort of a subset within itself. And this is the position of Hyperianism. And real quick, this is all going to make sense in a minute, but it's very important for understanding the soul, nature, and technology. So panentheism is that God is nature, but also transcendent to nature. And so why is this Hyperianism's position? That is because we are God. We are all reality as a mind, and then we generate the physical world from our internal frequency patterns to create this collective mathematical dream world, which is the physical world. So it's a panentheism because we are mind, which means transcendent, but we also generate the physical world from ourselves. So we are both the physical world, but also transcendent as well. It's both. And the way to understand this, there's two really good ways to understand this. One way to understand this is that you are, think of yourself. You are both a mind and a body. So you are both, your avatar is physical, but you're also a mind. So as above, so below, when it comes to panentheism and Hyperianism's position, we as a collective are the cosmic mind, the absolute, the all. And the physical universe is our collective body. Just like you as a single mind have a single body, we as the collective have a collective body, which is the universe and all of, physicality. So another way to understand this whole idea of panentheism and transcendent and immanent, is think about a dream. When you have a dream, there's the dream world, but you're also apart from the dream world at the same time. You're both transcendent and part of the dream world. You generate the dream world, but you're also a mind that inserts itself in the dream world. The dream world is both you, so you are the dream world, but you're also transcendent to the dream world as well, because you are a mind that enters into the dream world that you generate. So what the hell does this all have to do with nature and technology and all that? Well, it's really important to understand that nature is not something that's separate from us. It is part of us. It is what we are. It is our body, the universe, as the collective that we have collectively generated. So while it is really, really, it's better than Abrahamism when pagans say, worship nature. However, there's still a divide. You don't want to look at nature as something separate from you, but rather something as a part of you. Some pagans think that way, but there are others who look at it more as separate. And the whole idea here is to realize that when you look around at the world and nature is not something that can exist independently from you. It is something that is only possible because of our mental determinations. So nature is us. It is what we are. The cosmic mind, okay, us as a collective, before the Big Bang, existed in a purely mental state, and then through our collective interactions generated the physical world. So the physical world is what we are. It is just a different expression of what we are. And you can imagine the cosmic mind that sort of uses the physical world as a mirror to reflect upon itself. Nature is thought extended. It's extended thought. And it allows mind to insert itself into the world and explore its various transformations. Nature is the various transformations of mind. And here's a really good way to understand this is, this is going to sound a little weird at first, but just kind of go with it to help solidify this idea. Imagine before the Big Bang, imagine that we are pure mind. Imagine that that's like, I know it's going to sound a little weird, but go with it. Imagine that you are, at that point, are the alphabet. That's what you are. You're just the alphabet. You're the entire alphabet. And so you're everything. You're all the letters. You're the whole alphabet. But imagine then you want to explore combining the alphabet in different ways, combining the letters in different ways to form words, and then combining those words to form a story. You see how you're exploring the various transformations of what you are. If you are the alphabet, you're complete. You have all the letters. You have everything. But by transforming them in different permutations, you can create words and then string those words together to create brilliant stories. And so that's what we are. We are minds that contain everything within ourselves. We contain all information within ourselves. And in Hyperionism, that's the basis frequency patterns, the basic sinusoidal waves. But then what the Big Bang is exploring our various transformations. And this is our story. This is what evolution is. This is what history is. This is everything that we experience, is exploring our inner frequency patterns, externalized and combined in various different transformations to create stories and adventures and developments. We already have everything within us, but we're exploring what was in potential, making it actual, and discovering all the different transformations that we have within ourselves. So now that we kind of see that we are nature, we have to take a look at, I want to talk about technology, but to talk about technology, we have to talk about evolution a little bit. So what is evolution? Well, again, evolution is our internal optimization of our frequency patterns, right? But it's done in an unconscious state. So a lot of people say that evolution is about survival. Evolution is not really about survival. What evolution is about increasing power. It's more about increasing power, a strive for symmetry. However, in the early stages of evolution, it seems like that it's about survival. Why? Well, because in order to get to the point where you can increase your power and increase symmetry, you have to be able to survive. If you're dead, you can't increase your power, you can't increase symmetry. You can't do anything in the physical world if you're dead. So in the early stages of evolution, it seems like it's about survival, because that's what you need in the early stages. But it is truly about power. So what is evolution, though? What is evolution? It is, right, remember, the physical world is made up of our internal frequency patterns, and these frequency patterns are interacting with each other and forming more complicated patterns, more complex patterns. So evolution is the evolution of those patterns, but done unconsciously. We're not consciously directing it. It's happening unconsciously. And think about like a dream world. Your dream world gets generated unconsciously. You don't consciously think, okay, tonight I want to have a dream about sushi and a party bus and an orgy or whatever. You don't consciously think that, and then it happens. Your dream world just unconsciously gets generated from whatever's lurking in your unconscious. If you have, unresolved issues, if you have shadow content, if you're worried about a doctor's appointment or whatever, all your unconscious content is going to become externalized and it's generated unconsciously. Now, the collective world is a lot more complicated because it's all of our frequencies together instead of just your own. But so evolution is the unconscious forming of patterns and the evolution of, the movement of those patterns done unconsciously. So here's the really important thing to understand, though. When we start developing self-awareness, we begin directing evolution. Because remember, we are all reality. So evolution isn't something apart from us. Evolution is what we are. But first it was done unconsciously. But when we gain self-awareness, we begin to consciously direct evolution. And what's important to understand is that what we are doing when we build technology, this is our conscious direction of nature. So look, technology isn't something separate from nature. Technology is our conscious manipulation of nature. The only difference between nature and technology is that we are consciously creating extensions and externalizations of us rather than it being done unconsciously. So technology is not separate from nature. Technology is what we create from nature consciously. And they are still us. It's still us. It still is an extension of what we are. It's just done consciously. Now, here's the important thing to understand, is that technology in itself isn't good or bad. It's what we use it to do. Like, look, we consciously are manipulating nature, which is us, to create technology. And what can we do? Well, we can do beautiful things with that. We can create, mechanisms to feed the homeless, create, housing, create, devices that can contain, hundreds of thousands of books. We can also create atom bombs. We can also create tanks. We can also create horrible things that pollute and destroy the environment and make this an inhospitable place for us. So, technology in itself is neither good nor bad. It is a tool for us as conscious creators to, as extensions of us, create, and they can either be used for destruction or creation. And what should technology be used for? Well, it's important for people to understand. This is why I always emphasize, you must know who you are, what you are, and why you are here. You have to know what reality is. If you don't know what reality is, if you don't know why we're here, if you don't know what existence is and what you are, we're not going to know how to direct technology. You're going to create war and bloodshed and all this, again, I always compare it to being like a schizophrenic, fractured mind that's divided against itself. That's what humanity is. It doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know what existence is. So it's fighting itself and doesn't realize it's fighting itself. But when you realize that we are in an interconnected whole, and that the whole point of existence is to lift each other up and ourselves up through actualization, that's when all the pieces come together. And then we create a unified, coherent brain, metaphorically, where all the neurons are firing together in a cohesive pattern to create a gestalt. And so it's important to understand that what technology should be for it should be that we create tools for us to aid in our mental evolution and our collective evolution and connectivity. Right now, smartphones are dumbing down humanity. If you've watched, different documentaries and things, you will see how technology, smartphones and social media do they program the algorithms to try and raise your consciousness or try and make you a better person? No. They specifically program these algorithms simply to keep you watching longer so that you'll watch more ads and create more revenue and build watch time and things like this. Technology is geared towards just sucking you dry like a battery. So do you see where the smartphones are dumbing down humanity, but do you see how where they could be used as something beautiful if it was reversed? It can be used to form brilliant connections. It can be used you can download hundreds of thousands of books. You could share information. But that is not how it's being used right now by the vast majority. Instead, humanity has programmed these devices to suck you and drain you dry like a battery, which is the opposite of how it should be. So it's not like technology is bad, and it's not like technology is the enemy and it's separate from nature. Technology is an extension of nature, which is an extension of us. It's our consciously directed evolution and all these things. It can be a good thing. if it is done properly. And right now, humanity is in a chaotic state, a blind state where it doesn't know what it is, why it's here, or whatever, and it's tied to this system of disgusting capitalism, which just wants to drain you. So we have to realize that technology is a tool for us to increase our consciousness. And I want to mention Philip's comment about transhumanism, because it's important to understand that technology is always our tool. Some people think that technology is sort of an end in itself, in that, technology will just increase our consciousness. That's not the case. Technology is a tool that can be used to increase consciousness. So, for example, like, again, look at your smartphone. Some, an unintelligent person will just use their smartphone to watch, cat pictures all day or whatever. I don't know. But an intelligent person can use it to increase their consciousness. Again, you can download hundreds of thousands of books to these devices. You can, watch YouTube videos. You can watch university courses and all sorts of amazing things. So technology isn't like this cure-all thing that's going to save humanity. Some people look at technology as sort of like this Jesus Christ figure that's just going to, it's going to reach a certain point where it's just going to save humanity. No, technology is our tool that we created, and the point of it is to be used as a tool to increase our consciousness. It's not going to increase our consciousness in and of itself. It's a tool. Just like how psychedelics can be a tool. Remember, don't do anything illegal, but it can be a tool. Again, you have a stupid person do psychedelics all day, it's not really gonna, they'll just be like, oh wow, trippy, man. But if you, have someone that reflects on that information and integrates it and understands it and use it to form concepts and things like that, then it's a completely different story. So it's really important to understand that. And humanity needs to wake up to what it is, where it is, and why it's here, to be able to understand this and get away from this idea of looking at the physical world as being separate from itself. Because the physical world isn't separate from us. There is no such thing as an independent external world as independent and external from mind. It all relies on our mind. And one thing that I really want to emphasize here, and this is super important, and this, so really pay attention to this, but this is super important. Empirical materialist science says that all that exists is matter, and that's it. They denied the existence of mind as being able to exist as independently. So empirical materialist science thinks that all that exists is matter. But I want you to realize this point, because this is really important. Matter has never been observed. And you might think, well, wait. What do you mean matter has never been observed? Of course, I see it around me right now. Like, look, there's matter, and there it is right here. But look, physical empiricist materialist science says that matter can exist independently from mind. Right? That's part of the definition of matter. It can exist independently from mind. Matter as existing independently from mind has never been observed to exist. And again, you're going to think, well, why? I can see it right now. But yeah, you can see it right now, but you're viewing it through mind. You're viewing it through the medium of mind. If you removed mind, matter would no longer exist. Matter, as existing independent from mind, has never been observed to exist. And that's a really important fact to ponder. All your instances of matter have always been observed through the medium of mind. Matter depends on mind for its existence, because matter is just extended externalized mind, extended externalized thought. Just like a dream. Think about a dream world. When you go to sleep and dream at night, you can, in your dream world, you'd be able to think, well, what do you mean? I can see matter right here, right in front of me in my dream world. There's my dream couch, there's my dream cup, there's my dream chair, my dream dog. But remember, your dream is dependent on mind. If you removed mind, the dream would vanish. Same thing with this collective existence, this collective reality that we exist in right now. It's a collective mathematical dream. And matter is not separate from us. There is no independent external entity known as matter. It does not exist. Matter depends on mind. It is a part of what we are. It is our collective mental creation that we generated to explore our various transformations. And science is absolutely oblivious to this, and the world is oblivious to this. And this is why we get all, wars and bloodshed and devices like smartphones that suck you of your time, and your essence, because no one has any idea of what we truly are. This is why we must know what reality is and raise the consciousness of humanity so everything can start to fall into place. There is a fantastic quote by the philosopher Schelling that I want to read to you right now. And this is about, how we just called science, we talked about how faulty and flawed the view of materialist science is. But what about true science? So let me read to you a quote by Schelling about what true science should be about, okay? What true science should be about. And I love this quote. I love this quote. So listen up. This is amazing. The highest consummation of natural science would be the complete spiritualizing of all natural laws into laws of intuition and thought. The phenomena, the matter, must wholly disappear, and only the laws, the form, remain. Hence it is that the more lawfulness emerges in nature itself, the more the husk disappears. The phenomena, matter, themselves become more mental and at length vanish entirely. The completed theory of nature would be that whereby the whole of nature was resolved into an intelligence. Amazing quote by the philosopher Schelling. We, as the cosmic mind, are that intelligence. And we come to realize that matter, nature, isn't separate from us. It is us externalized. Beautiful quote by the great philosopher Schelling. So I really want to emphasize here how it's so important. And again, Hegel's, the philosophy of Hegel is all about unifying subject and object. Realizing that object, the objective world, and subject, there is no divide between the two, that they are one and the same. It's the unification of subject and object. And again, if you're familiar with secret societies and mystery schools, you'll hear about something called the Great Work. What is the Great Work? The unification of subject and object. Bringing, healing that split, that wound that we all suffer from. We all suffer from this wound because we feel alienated from others in the external world. We suffer from that split. It's about healing that split, the subject-object split, and realize that we are not separate from, but it's all linked together. So what I really want to emphasize here, I hope you understand that when we understand what we are, where we are, why we're here, if we understand that we are eternal minds, systems of frequency information, and give rise to this world, I really want to emphasize that nature is not separate from us. It's not something apart from us. It is our collective mental creation, and we can shape it. We are the force of evolution. And technology, again, isn't something that's separate from us or even separate from nature. It is an extension and is our conscious direction of nature. And technology can be wonderful or it can be horrible. It can aid in our evolution and bring us closer to divinity, or it can lower our consciousness and bring it closer to just animalistic behavior, like entertainment and zoning out. And so nothing wrong with entertainment, but when you have devices that are specifically engineered to suck your time away, specifically to serve a capitalist agenda, to make money, that is where the problem lies. But imagine a world where we use this technology to create a better world, create housing, feed the hungry, increase connectivity. I mean, technology can be a beautiful thing. I mean, look, I'm talking to you right now because of technology. We're having this experience right now because of technology. So do you see how, like, I use my platform to try and raise the consciousness of humanity? So imagine a world where we were that connected and using technology to form connections and raise consciousness rather than dumbing down the world, which is what is currently happening. So it's the big thing to understand here is that technology is neither good nor bad. It's how we use it as a tool to aid in our collective evolution. And nature is what we are. So is technology. It is all part of our collective creation. Nature was unconsciously created by us, and then technology was consciously created by us. Now it's time for us to step into an Abraxian consciousness, absolute awareness, where we can begin manipulating and changing and transforming the world according to our collective will to aid in our teleological striving for our self-actualization and collective actualization, so we may create a community of the divine. So, big takeaway here. Don't look at nature as something externalized, as something independent from you and us. It is us. It is our thoughts externalized. And it is our mission to heal that subject-object split, to get humanity as a whole to realize this, so we may begin fashioning the world according to this understanding. So let's get this information out there. Social media right now, it's designed to suck your time away, but let's turn it into a good thing. Use social media to share this information. So share these videos out there, share them everywhere. Let's wake up the world.